Sedna, the goddess of the sea and mother of all marine animals, wielded absolute power over Inuit survival in the Arctic. Welcome to Deka Rankings. The topic for today is Top 10 Most Powerful Inuit Spirits. From the frozen Arctic, where survival depends on respecting unseen forces, come the spirits and deities of Inuit mythology. Unlike hierarchical pantheons of other cultures, Inuit religion is primarily animistic, believing that spirits inhabit all things, from animals to weather to the very breath of life. These powerful beings shaped the harsh Arctic world and determined whether humans would feast or starve, live or perish. Today we rank the 10 most powerful spirits of Inuit mythology. We will explore their domains, the stories told about them, their influence over daily life, and how their worship continues in modern Inuit culture. Number 10. Aningan. Aningan, the moon spirit, travels endlessly across the night sky in eternal pursuit of his sister Malina, the sun goddess. In the most common version of their myth, Aningan discovered his sister's identity after she marked his face with soot following his assault on her in darkness. Shamed and obsessed, he chases her through the heavens, causing the cycle of day and night as she flees his pursuit. The moon's phases occur because Aningan grows thin from hunger during his chase, only growing full again after descending to Earth to hunt. Inuit people observed the moon carefully, knowing its cycles governed hunting and fishing conditions. Unlike solar deities in other cultures who often represent order, Aningan embodies violation and endless longing, serving as a cautionary tale. His influence over tides and night hunting made him an important figure despite his dark origins. Number 9. Malina. Malina, the sun goddess, races endlessly across the sky, fleeing from her brother Aningan's pursuit, bringing daylight to the Arctic with each pass. After Aningan assaulted her in darkness, she marked his face with soot to identify him, then fled in horror and shame when she discovered her attacker's identity. Transformed into the sun, she brings life-giving warmth and light essential for Arctic survival during the brief summer months. The Inuit understood that Malina's presence meant the melting of ice, the return of migrating animals, and the growth of precious Arctic plants used for food and medicine. Her annual departure into months of winter darkness reminded people of the eternal cycle of seasons and the precious nature of warmth and light. Unlike sun deities in other cultures who represent masculine power, Malina embodies feminine strength and the right to flee violation. Despite the traumatic origin of her celestial role, she became one of the most vital spirits, for without the sun's return each year, life in the Arctic would be impossible. Number 8. Nanook. Nanook, the master spirit of polar bears, held the power to grant or deny success in the most dangerous hunt known to the Inuit. Polar bears were both revered and feared, the largest terrestrial carnivores whose meat and furs were essential for survival, but whose hunting could easily result in death. Nanook determined whether hunters possessed the skill, courage, and respect necessary to take a bear's life. When a polar bear was killed, hunters would perform elaborate rituals, offering their hunting tools to the bear's spirit as a sign of respect to Nanook. They believed the bear's soul would report back to Nanook, who would judge whether the hunter deserved future success. This spiritual relationship ensured that hunting remained a sacred act rather than mere killing. Nanook represented the thin line between humans and nature's most powerful predator, teaching that survival required humility and honor. Number 7. Alignak. Alignak, the spirit of weather, earthquakes, and celestial catastrophes, commanded destructive natural forces that could devastate entire communities in moments. While Sela controlled everyday weather patterns and the breath of life, Alignak manifested through violent extremes, earthquakes that shattered ice, tsunamis that swept away coastal camps, and storms so fierce they could freeze hunters solid in minutes. The Inuit lived in constant awareness that the earth itself could split open, or the sky could unleash killing winds without warning. In some traditions, Alignak appeared as a male moon spirit distinct from Aningan, associated with masculine destructive power rather than feminine creative forces. His anger could be triggered by the same taboo violations that disturbed Sedna and Sila, but his punishment came swiftly and catastrophically rather than through gradual withholding of resources. Communities performed rituals to appease Alignak during seasons of particular danger, such as spring breakup, when shifting ice created deadly conditions. The spirit's unpredictable nature reflected the Arctic's harsh reality, that even with careful observation and respectful behavior, sudden disaster could strike at any moment. Alignak embodied the terrifying truth that humans ultimately had no control over the most powerful forces of nature, only the hope that proper conduct might spare them from destruction. Number 6. Pinga. Pinga, the goddess of the hunt, fertility, and medicine, wielded power over 3 essential domains that determined whether Inuit communities would thrive or perish. As overseer of the hunt, she worked alongside spirits like Sedna and Nanook to ensure animals were treated with proper respect and ritual. Her control over human fertility meant she determined which families would have children to carry on their lineages and care for elders in harsh conditions. Pinga also possessed knowledge of healing plants and shamanic medicine, making her the source of cures for illnesses that could wipe out entire families during long Arctic winters. The Inuit believed she watched over souls after death, judging whether hunters had shown proper respect to the animals they killed. Women often called upon Pinga during childbirth, while hunters sought her favor before expeditions. Her presence in the afterlife meant that respectful behavior during life would be rewarded, while those who wasted meat or broke hunting taboos would face her judgment. This triple aspect of hunt, birth, and healing made Pinga indispensable to the continuation of Inuit life itself. Number 5. Teketsatok. Teketsatok, the master of caribou and lord of the earth, held the same absolute power over land animals that Sedna wielded over the sea. For inland Inuit groups who depended primarily on caribou rather than marine mammals, Teketsatok determined whether communities would have meat, clothing, and tools for survival. Caribou provided nearly everything needed for life away from the coast. Flesh for food, hides for clothing and tents, antlers and bones for tools, and sinew for sewing. When hunters violated taboos or showed disrespect to killed caribou, Teketsatok would withhold the herds, causing them to migrate away or simply vanish from traditional hunting grounds. The Inuit performed careful rituals after each caribou kill, offering thanks and ensuring no part of the animal went to waste, knowing Teketsatok watched their actions. His power extended to the earth itself, controlling not just caribou, but the land's ability to provide berries, roots, and other plant resources. Shamans would journey in trances to Teketsatok's realm to ask why the caribou had disappeared and what offenses needed to be corrected. Without his favor, inland communities faced starvation just as surely as coastal peoples did when Sedna withheld sea creatures. Number 4. Torngarsuk. Torngarsuk, also known as Torngarsuk, stood as the most powerful helping spirit that shamans could contact, often considered the supreme spirit in some Inuit traditions. Described variously as an enormous bear, a master of whales and seals, or an invisible presence that could only be sensed, Torngarsuk's form shifted according to regional beliefs and shamanic visions. Unlike Sedna, who controlled sea creatures from her underwater realm, Torngarsuk acted as an intermediary between the spirit world and shamans seeking power or knowledge. Angakuit, who successfully contacted Torngarsuk, gained extraordinary abilities to heal the sick, control weather, or journey to the spirit world to bargain with Sedna herself. The spirit's name translates roughly to master or possessor of power, indicating his supreme position in the hierarchy of helping spirits. Some traditions held that Torngarsuk lived at the bottom of the sea alongside Sedna, while others placed him in remote mountains or ice caves. His favor could make a shaman the most powerful person in a community, able to ensure successful hunts and protect people from malevolent spirits. The respect and fear surrounding Torngarsuk reflected the Inuit understanding that the greatest power came not from physical strength, but from connection to the spirit world. Number 3. Anguta. Anguta, the father of Sedna and gatherer of the dead, served as psychopomp who carried souls into Adlivun, the underworld. After death, souls had to sleep in Adlivun for 1 year, while Anguta judged them for taboos they violated during life. His role varied across Inuit groups. In some myths he appears as a creator figure, in others as Sedna's father who threw her from his kayak. One version describes him losing all his limbs after being attacked by Sedna's dog children, yet continuing his grim duty of collecting the dead. He worked alongside Sedna in the underworld, with Anguta handling punishment while his daughter controlled the sea creatures humans needed to survive. The Inuit believed that proper funeral rites and respectful behavior toward animals ensured favorable judgment from Anguta. His presence reminded the living that death awaited everyone, and that how one lived determined their fate in the next world. Number 2. Sila. Sila, the spirit of air, breath, and weather, represented the very essence of life force itself, the closest concept in Inuit mythology to a supreme power. Known as Master of Breath, or Owner of Souls, Sila was the animating force within all living things, from humans to animals to the wind itself. Unlike gods with specific forms, Sila was omnipresent and formless, existing in every breath taken and every wind that blew. The Inuit believed Sila controlled weather patterns that determined survival. Calm weather meant successful hunts, while storms meant danger and death. Shamans called Angakuit received their power from Sila, and even their helping spirits were termed Silap Inue, children of Sila. When taboos were broken, Scylla would manifest anger through violent weather, tangling Sedna's hair with the negative energy of human wrongdoing. This concept parallels Ki in Chinese mythology and Prana in Hindu belief, a universal life energy that cannot be seen but sustains all existence. Scylla represented the fundamental truth that life depends on forces beyond human control, demanding respect for the natural order. Number 1. Sedna. Sedna, the goddess of the sea and mother of all marine animals, wielded absolute power over Inuit survival in the Arctic. Her tragic origin story tells of a beautiful young woman betrayed by her father, who threw her from his kayak during a storm and chopped off her fingers as she clung desperately to the boat. These severed pieces transformed into seals, walruses, and whales as they sank into the depths. Sedna descended to the ocean floor, where she became a powerful spirit, half woman and half fish, dwelling in a palace of whale bone and controlling whether sea creatures would allow themselves to be hunted. When humans violated taboos through disrespectful hunting or breaking social rules, their negative energy tangled Sedna's hair into impossible knots, trapping sea animals within and causing famine. Unable to comb her hair without fingers, she grew angry and withheld her creatures from hunters until a brave shaman would journey to the ocean floor to comb and braid her hair, soothing her pain. Known by many names across Arctic regions, Torngarsuk, Nerivik, Nuliarjok, Takanaluk, she controlled all marine life that sustained coastal communities. Her father Anguta worked alongside her in the underworld, but Sedna alone determined whether the Inuit would feast or starve. She remains the single most important deity in Inuit mythology, the mistress of life and death, whose favor meant survival and whose anger meant extinction. These spirits embodied the harsh realities of Arctic existence, where survival depended on respecting forces beyond human control. From Aningan's lonely pursuit across the sky to Sedna's power over the ocean's bounty, from Nanook's judgment of hunters to Scylla's breath in every living thing, these beings taught that life requires balance, respect, and proper conduct. Though modern life has changed, Inuit communities still honor these stories, remembering that the greatest powers are those that sustain life itself. Like this video, and subscribe to Deca Rankings for more videos like this.